Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Back at you with my thoughts on the current situation in the world, what's going on here in the United States, and I am getting more and more concerned that we're going to be needing our preps real quick. Stick around and I'll share my thoughts. Looking to see what's going on in the world today. I'm hearing reports in the different news outlets that I frequent that Russian troops are amassing even more on the Ukrainian border, that there's some unrest going on in Belarus. The Ukrainian folks are thinking, anyway, that there may be an imminent Russian invasion, probably sometime in January. I see what's going on in the China, the Sea of Japan, the China Sea, what's going on in Taiwan, the saber rattling, I guess, by the Chinese Communist Party. And I get very, very concerned about that. Some recent polling I saw indicated that folks in America think that China is now our number one threat. And if they decide that they're going to intervene and try to take back Taiwan, I'm not sure that our federal government is positioned well enough, strengthened well enough, dedicated to the right propositions that we can actually prevail in protecting, according to the treaties that we've got, in protecting some of these areas. Now, I'll give you that war is not a fun thing, and I would never suggest that there's any romanticism about the United States going to war with anybody. But I don't think it's going to be us going to war with them. I think they're going to be going to war with us. And I am very concerned about the state of our military, about the leadership in our military. Thoroughly modern Millie there is, he makes me nervous just hearing his quotes and seeing him on the television, his dedication to stuff that just doesn't seem to be the right thing to do. I suspect that we're going to make it through the holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, and we'll make it through that somehow. And then I think it's all going to start. There's just going to be some error, some mistake, some misjudgment, some button pusher somewhere that's going to trigger something that's going to set it off. And then I believe, and I've said this a number of times in previous videos, that there'll be a cascade effect. And how it's going to start, I don't think anybody can predict that. It could start with an economic type crisis, a stock market crash, the panic on Wall Street kind of a thing, some major policy decision that blows up in somebody's face, could actually start an economic collapse here in the United States. And once we're weakened, once our attentions are focused on those kinds of events, internal events, that we become a lot less ready to confront our responsibilities in the global stage. It wouldn't surprise me a bit to see, and looking at just what happened this past week on Wall Street, I don't know about you, but I looked at my retirement funds in the IRA, and I wasn't too pleased with what's going on there. And they're trying to blame it on this new strain of the COVID-19, the Omicron strain that's starting to affect multiple countries and multiple states here in the United States. I don't think it's the virus itself that's causing the panic. I think Wall Street's astute enough to realize that the reaction, the federal government and the state governments and the governors and the senators and all that, their reaction to mandates, to forcing folks into this, separating folks based on their vitamin shot status. I think that's what Wall Street's really concerned about. They're concerned that the economy is going to get hampered one more time. And I'm not sure that the economy is robust enough at this point to take it on. I think it could start that nasty thought that I have that there's a cascade that's going to happen. And I see it starting probably with an economic crash, a meltdown, something that's going on Wall Street. And then we will be in a weakened position. And by a weakened position, I mean that our attentions are going to be focused internally rather than externally. The federal government is there to protect us, and they're not doing a good job. The only people that we can count on to protect us is ourselves. Whether it's whether it's you yourself, whether it's a mutual assistance group that you're a part of, whether it's your church community that you're active in, whether it's a neighborhood group, whether it's a prepper group. Those are the kinds of support systems that we're all going to need when it all does happen, and I suspect that it's all going to happen pretty darn quick. I think it'll start with the economics. I think it'll mushroom then into the Chinese or the Russians doing something that's going to trigger a military response from NATO, from us, from somebody, and there's going to be wars and rumors of wars going on after the first of the year. And I'm very concerned about what that's all going to mean for us, citizens here in the United States. Are you prepped? Are you prepared? Do you have 6 months or a year's worth of food that you eat on a regular basis stored up where you can get immediate access to it? Do you have a way to cook and prepare that food that doesn't rely on the grid? Whether you're getting natural gas to your house or whether you're getting electricity to your house, water from a municipal water supply source, you've got to be prepared for the worst case scenarios. You can define it however you want, and I don't know what it's going to be for you, whether it's natural disasters, the Yellowstone volcano going off, a meteor that's going to hit the earth, who knows. But you've got to be prepared, and it's worth taking that time and money, because I think it's going to impact us economically. If you've got extra cash and it's sitting in your savings account, it's sitting in your checking account, sitting in some kind of a cash investment kind of a thing. I'm not an economic guy at all. I just know what I think is the right thing to do here. And if you've got extra cash, if you've got extra access to money, and I'm not saying go out and get in debt, but if you've got access to some extra funds, use it to buy food, to prep for preparing and keeping that food, making sure you've got water, you've got availability of additional water so that you can keep yourself clean, that you can use to cook with. Investing in things like the Berkey water filters, I think is really a great idea. Alternate sources of cooking methodologies, propane stoves, I think are really going to be handy and helpful. I think that having firewood around and available is going to be helpful. You can quickly put together a homemade rocket stove that you can use to cook on. So there's a lot of different things that you can be looking at to make sure that you can weather the upcoming storms. We took a real hard look recently at our prepping plan and modified it. In fact, I'm pretty much on course to double what we had 3 months ago. And I think I'm about probably 80% of the way there. We've picked up additional alternate sources of cooking and preparation for food. We've picked up a lot more basics like flour and rice and beans, canned goods, even food for our pets. So I think it's incumbent on us as freedom-loving American citizens that we have to look to ourselves as the first line of defense. I don't want to see anybody that's watching these videos standing in a bread line anywhere after it all hits the fan. So take time, take a good hard look at yourself, at your monetary situation, take a look at your budget. Where can you move some funds around, where you can get some access to cash, and where you need to be spending it. And it doesn't really matter to me, but buy the kinds of food that you eat on a regular basis, that you enjoy, that you can keep in your food storage areas, wherever they may be. But take a good hard look at increasing your preps to meet the upcoming challenges. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.